All right, welcome to week 34. I think it's 34. I'm not totally certain. It has been a very interesting work week. Um, and then this week I will be having a 60-hour work week. It is 6 a.m. I woke up at 3 p.m. today. Slept at I believe it was like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. It was 11 o'clock on the dot. Um, Monday going into Monday, barely slept, but the schedule's chaotic, and being a night shifter now, it's kind of like the vampirism schedule is kind of deep dive. So, aside from that, I built my company website, and I kind of want to run through that, and then kind of just like decision making and what I've been working on the side here. I suppose on my personal weekend before I have to get back to the long day factory. Quite literally a factory. So, yeah, that's kind of the perspective, the viewpoint, whatever's going on, and just jump in. So, I vibe coded this all, maybe not quite all evening, but I'm gonna put myself right here. If I can just size it real quick to fit. Okay, so I vibe coded this. Um, this evening, cross the night, whatever, where I started with pork bun. I knew that was kind of one of the destinations I was going to go to start for web hosting services, whatever. Unfortunately, pareidolia.com's already taken. So I had to go with pareidoliatrading.com. So, and I got that for like $11 a year for 10 years. So, lock in, baby. Aside from that, it's been kind of like pedantic or like, hey, this is that, tool, redesign, design, curate. So, just running through. I sent my friends a very concept or like baseline, and I'm kind of happy with where this is right now. But obviously, I will keep working on this freaking thing. So, obviously, I think just jumping in performance. I had an overview thing, but like it didn't really look right to me because just it's kind of like your masthead or whatever. You're kind of going through, looking at whatever. Here, I have a report card system that I've been talking about, and now to have it visualized, and it's kind of cool trying to vibe code this. Where like, okay, hey, every week for the last few weeks, I have a report card system. How was my trading? And then like you have the read, whatever. It's neat, and then having your kind of stats on there. I do want to have transparency. I think be that there's a part of me that wants to put the financial statements up. At the same time, I do want to obfuscate that a little, but in the founder logs, I'm kind of happy with keeping them there, or like an independent founder log. It's like proprietary. Don't do what we do, whatever. General speak. Obviously, if you're an operator, like you're not gonna follow some guy being kind of schizophrenic or uh, you know, full porting or doing some retarded trading. Um, it's not practical. It's not in your own best interest. And I don't know. You kind of seem like you don't have your own brain. And I think that's the philosophy with AI, at least personally, where it's like I'm a designer. This is a tool. If it works out well, it gets me to what I want. I'm using my brain to get what I want. Um, Whereas obviously some of the coding skill sets and whatever are different, but at the same time, design, the design philosophy is what I want to go poke at specifically in this regard, whatever. Um, and yeah, no, like event contracts, while they've been fun as a businessman, why the fuck am I touching them if I basically have a coin flip? I barely have edge. Um, Not so sure certain with share legs, right? With I think it's just sizing and like maybe some of that data isn't captured with covered calls, right? So like let's say Blue Owl being a terrible I wouldn't say trade, but like the attrition, and slowly building my way out of it. But obviously, I got bored of trading it, um, which maybe is to the company's detriment, but like to what degree? I don't even know what Al trades for, but same thing with Sarepta, I think happened there, where it just kind of atrophied. And it's like, well, my thesis hasn't really disappeared, but I don't want to have my book be burning down because of a name that I'm not 100% married to, that I was expecting to get rid of within 2 years anyway. Let me cut it off now. Other than that, like covered call stuff, the wheel has been a like I personally love my cash secured puts. So the covered call side of things, kind of like it just works. Um, Almost 80% of the time, I'd rather just call it 80% of the time, right? So 80% of the time, 78% of the time, either they expire worthless or I buy them at a steep discount from what I bought them for or sold them for, excuse me. Um, and just to capture what I wanted beforehand, I kind of view selling covered calls like insurance. Puts as well, um, but that'll be captured in the story, and then obviously kind of like what's the overview of like what's going on, what's not captured. Um, I will go in like manually and try to get things to have more of my voice than spitting out data, but like the career ledger, the weekly report thing, I'm happy with it, or I'm happy enough with it. Um, Now going on to the story, obviously this is probably gonna be very light, but it's pretty simple. Like for now, I do want to plug my business plan in there, but or into Claude, and then see how what what variety or variances, along with a couple of papers I wrote in college, and maybe having that thrown into the concepts page, or it probably will be, and then it'll be like a subgroup within. You can get into a loop, and then you're like, oh my god, I'm going down this one path just to like revise something, and that's the fun part of this now. And then obviously Twitter, just kind of general flyby. um Themes, the book, here's the portfolio per se. It doesn't capture the options, but I think it sort of does with the percentages. But one of these tickers companies is related to what I work, so I can't really touch on that. However, everything else, I've been a long-term investor, trader of Palantir's equity. I've been around since DPO. I know it's probably like my biggest home run, and a part of me did want to try to recapture that within a new account as a business. Um, and seeing how that works. So that's where we're at right now with this. Then the approach, just kind of a general. Here's like what I guess this is basically like fund literature. Um, but obviously this is a private book, so try to have fun with that. Um, just general, like, okay, what are the three business lines per se, right? Like, or ideas, how are working it? I'm working it. I suppose my co-founder is more of an investor than a operator. So, I mean, not co-founder, but my founding partner. Um, and yeah, no, it's kind of the risk is literally just operator error or sizing in this case, where conviction can kind of you can burn your legs off, saw your leg off, whatever, with over conviction. I'm not too like um aligned with the guardrails per se, but to have a basic framework, it's useful. And then just general like why, what's the process, and then what kind of the restrictions, at least. I've been pretty consistent with my frustrations with this, where I personally trade a shit ton of cash secured puts, and only being allowed to buy stock per se and sell covered calls, along with buying um, forecast events, kind of seems ridiculous when those have a higher risk rating. I would at least mentally overlay onto them where, it's either a one or a zero, right? You either make money or all of the money put into this evaporates, right? It's effectively legal gambling through financial markets, and I have a conflicting view on that. Um, but in the sake of operation, it's there and it's a tool to try to figure out. But with my luck going back, excuse me, um, it's not, yeah, it's hard to try to justify when there's like, oh, I have nearly 2,000 trades and the profit factor's not there. Um, I guess there is, but it's not above one, and it's kind of like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, well, I might as well get rid of this. But then I don't know. The main thing right now is like, how do I create the churn with covered calls, wheels, puts, whatever? But at a future point in time, we'll see. Uh, and then general, just concepting. Like, how do I think about markets? Oh, manifesto is probably not a good term for that. But like, how do you view markets? What are your mental models? Or like, how do you oversee, look, whatever? And like the general watch list kind of thing. Not too certain there. It didn't really land with me that well, but um I will come back to this at a future point. So that is basically the website. Um if you want to check out my Twitter, it's just Paradolian underscore on Twitter now. Um, for anybody with critiques, let me know. I tried to kind of create something or work something, shop something, kind of like, okay, I like the Wall Street Journal. What would a Wall Street Journal reader like or design? Um, Maybe you're financially minded or like you like looking at charts, whatever. I don't know. I like stats. I'm a stats nerd. Uh, Thanks, Stats 101 or whatever it's called. But it's like operator wise, you're like, okay, what's going on? How's the business? What are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? What are the total amount of interactions, trades, sales, whatever? KPIs for you marketers. But I'm a product person. I'm a product engineer, and I'm trying to engineer my own company, right? And my own systems and whatever. Um, so that's kind of it. Hopefully you enjoy. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Bye.